The second example of the useReducer will be examined in this lecture. And in this lecture, we will employ the state object and action object rather than the straightforward state and action that we implemented in the previous lecture. So quickly within the useReducer practice, create a new component called mycounter2.js. Quickly open up mycounter1, and here is it. Highlight and copy all the code. Head on to mycounter2 and paste. Let's quickly make the necessary corrections. Here we just have to change mycounter1 to mycounter2. When you save, beautiful. The next in line is to transform the current state variable to an object. Scroll to the top, and here is it. So what I'm going to do right now is to wipe this off. Now we have to set it to an object. Right within the object, I'm going to do counter A, set it to 0, just like this. And right within the UI, now we are going to do here count dot counter A. The count represents the entire state object. The next in line is to convert our simple string action into an object. And here is it. So right within the dispatch method, I'm just going to highlight and then cut the string. Now we have to convert it to an object. So within this object, we are going to take in a property called type. And the action type is increment. So here also we have to change it to an object, highlight and cut the string, change it to an object and take in the type. So the action type is decrement. Same thing here. It's as simple as that. And with this, we are going to dispatch an action based on the action type. So right within the reducer function, scroll to the top. The switch expression is going to be action dot type. So for the increment and decrement action, we are going to return the new state object. Highlight and wipe it off. Let's specify an object. Right within the object, we are going to do counter A, then state dot counter A plus 1. It's as simple as that. Same thing here. Specify the object, counter A, state dot counter A minus 1. Let's space this out a little bit. The component state and action is now transformed into an object. And that's it. Render this component in the app.js and let's see what we have on the browser. Import mycounter2 from component / useReducer practice / mycounter2. Let's highlight this and place a comment on it. Then we are going to render mycounter2.js. Close it up with the soft closing tag, save the application and make sure it is running right within the terminal. And on the browser, boom. Let's check it out. Increment, decrement, reset. Okay, let's do it again. Increment, decrement, and reset. Everything is working perfectly fine as expected. Beautiful. And now the question is, why would one prefer this approach compared to the previous approach? Alright, so we are going to demonstrate an example that will give a valid answer to this question. So with that, you will get to understand it well enough. So let's assume we want to dispatch different value and result. Say we have 2 extra buttons to increment and decrement count by 5. That will be possible and very easy if the action is an object. And when you check out the action object, you will realize that it has only one property, which is the action type. So we are going to add another property to the action object. And that property would be called value, which will represent the number that will be used to increment or decrement the count value. So to the buttons that we created earlier on, we are going to add an extra property to it. Come here, comma, and then value. We have to set it to 1 simply because we want this button to increment the initial state value by 1. Place a comma right here, taking the value property and set it to 1. So this will decrement the initial state by 1. And now, in this example, we want 2 extra buttons that will be used to increment and decrement the count value by 5. Copy from lines 25 to 26, duplicate it. And here I'm going to do increment 5. Here I'm going to do increment 5. Alright, so here I'm going to do 5, the value 5. Having done this, we also have to go back to the reducer function, and then we do not have to hand code it like this. What I'm going to do right now is plus action dot value. And this value is this. So here is going to be action dot value. So this value represents each of this guy over here. All of this guy over here. Let's quickly save the application to check out the result on the browser. Let's give it a try by hitting on the buttons. Increment by 1, beautiful. Decrement by 1, perfect. Increment 5, can you see that? Decrement by 5. Everything is working perfectly fine as expected. And when I hit the reset button, take a look. Beautiful. So by making use of the action as an object, we can use multiple data in the reducer function. So this is one of the answers to the question we raised earlier on in this lecture. Now let's demonstrate the second example to give more valid answer to the question that was raised earlier on. And in this example, we are going to focus on state as an object. So let's assume you want to implement multiple counters. The best way we can do that is when the state is an object. Scroll to the top. So we are going to have a new counter right now. And this will be called counter B. I'm going to set it to 15. To update the value of counter B, we have to create 2 more switch cases. Come right here. What I'm going to do right now, because we've created it earlier on, I'm just going to highlight from lines 11 to 13. Duplicate it. Watch me as I'm going to select the counter A, and then we have to highlight all the occurrences of counter A within the action that we duplicated. Take your cursor to the right edge and then wipe it off. Here I'm going to do counter B. It's as simple as that. And now we have 2 different properties as the state object. To get the expected result, we have to merge the state property. Let me show you how to do that. Dot 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 state. Place a comma. I'm just going to copy and then paste it all around like this. Like this. So lastly, we have to implement the button to dispatch the action on onClick. So when I scroll down, I'm just going to copy increment 5. Come here. Let's make a div. Paste it within this div. And then I'm going to call this increment counter B. Highlight, copy, come here and paste. So this will be decrement counter B. We have to display counter B. So here I'm going to use the h2 tag to display counter B. Count dot counter B. So what I'm going to do right now is I just have to specify that this is counter A and this is counter B. When you save on the browser, beautiful. So the initial state of counter A is 0. Let me show you. Right in the state object, here is it. for counter B is 15. And here is it. So when we click on this button, we should be able to manage the both states. So that is the beauty of using state as an object. Okay, and now let's give it a try. Can you see? Working perfectly fine as expected. I hit on reset and let's try it for counter B. Counter B is not working. You know why? Let me show you quickly. Come here. So right within the counter B, we are dispatching the increment action. And this action is for counter A. So if you want counter B to work, you have to specify the action for counter B and then dispatch that action. Let me show you. Right here, this is for counter A and this is for counter A. So now I'm going to do increment B. And here I'm going to do decrement B. When we come right here and do increment B, decrement B, save and check it out on the browser. Reload. Let's give it a try on counter A. Can you see? Reset. Give it a try on counter B. Take a look. Everything is working perfectly fine as expected. Alright, so in summary, by using action as an object, you are able to pass additional data to the reducer function. And by using state as an object, we are able to maintain and keep track of multiple state variables. And in this case, here are the state variables, counter A and B. And we are able to do this simply because the state is an object, okay, which is this guy that you see over here. Okay, let me show you quickly. I just have to cut this off. And then here is the object. Simply because the state is an object, we are able to maintain these guys over here. This is all for now and see you in the next lecture.